this is Solomon again. Welcome to one more episode of HR with Solomon. Today I have guest Janessa Cole, who is CPHR and the Director of Operations of HR Projects INC. Janessa was highly experienced in HR operations, leadership, and progressive experience across the sector of recruitment, human resource management, organization operations, and she was very passionate about that. And I do see what aspire me as a student. She starts her career in as a co-op student, and she was elevated her position in director of operations, and she was doing good things for the community, and it is great honor for us on this show.
Thank you, Solomon. I'm happy to be here.
So how is your new year going on? It's a new year.
Good. It's been a very good start to the new year, actually, professionally and personally. Professionally, in our work environment, it is a busy January, which I don't know if everyone can say the same, so we're very fortunate.
Thanks for your time.
Absolutely.
I know you have a busy schedule, and thanks for that. It's going to be benefited for more students or the freshly graduate like me. So without further ado, we'll jump into the session. I want to touch on your career journey and leadership. Could you briefly share how is your career path? Because from a co-op student moving a director of operations is a great journey, I could say. And throughout the experience, what is the key experience and the decision making which helped you your leadership?
Yeah. So I guess for me, Solomon, I completed the Bachelor of Commerce co-op program from Memorial University. I graduated from there in 2014. So as part of that program, there were 3 4-month work terms, and I completed those work terms at the same company. And from there, that is where I met my current leader and owner of HR Project Partners. So, with that, my work terms taught me so much more than what school ever could have done. I learned a lot. I learned how to work in a professional setting. I've had previous jobs prior to my work terms, but not necessarily in a professional business environment. So that taught me a lot. From there, then, I graduated university in 2014. And I started out as a coordinator, HR coordinator, worked with a consulting firm that did not have HR. So I created policies and procedures and really, as a new grad, tried to develop as much of HR best practices within the organization there. It was a very rough year. I was, economically, it was, a downturn within the mining industry specifically, and that's the consulting firm that I worked for. They did a lot of work within the mining industry. So I was laid off at that time. At that time, HR Project Partners, Jackie Bailey, she created HR Project Partners, and I joined in 2015. Again, 2016 was a little bit tough. Just starting out in business and trying to grow the business in an economic downturn, I would say, in the industries that we wanted to work in. So from there, I went to government, and I was there for a year. I still worked part-time with HR Project Partners, so I had a full-time job and I worked part-time, all within the HR world, more specifically within recruitment. And then from there in 2017, I then came back to HR Project Partners full-time, and I've been here ever since. So throughout my career and my transition, starting out wearing many hats, doing many things from administrative to, policy creation and so on and so forth, doing recruitment. And I think, starting out, Solomon, wearing multiple hats, as they say, and taking on a lot of different responsibilities, it really helped me evolve as a professional. And it helped to, guide me in my leadership today. I started leading or being a supervisor in 2018, and I have learned a tremendous amount from that time, being a direct supervisor. Everything that I've done throughout, my 12 plus years of experience has led me to where I am today. And the biggest thing I would say is, it's so important to have an open mind. Keep an open mind and keep positive and do what you need to do to, make sure that you're successful in, the work that you do. And what I mean by that is, again, wear many hats. Look for more work if, you're a little bit slow in your current job. Ask if there's any other opportunity for more work. Support where support is needed is what I would say. So that's all of that has helped me, understand as well, Solomon, people are coming from. So, I think back and I always say we hire co-op students or work term students now, and, it feels like I was only in their shoes 5 years ago. It's over 13, 14, 15 years ago now, but I understand. I understand what it's like to start a new job, be brand new to the organization, and even more so as a student. So being understanding, being empathetic, being direct is important. People appreciate that. I know I do. And setting expectations is important as well.
So that was an inspirational story. Like you went through a lot, I could say, and which is going to be reflected in our life in one or the other day, like starting as a co-op student, and we have might seen like, I could say by reaching that height, it is not going to be an overnight dream. Like it's not going to be happening in the overnight dream. Since you talked about the layoff, so I could ask like as a student, probably we might go on that situation. So you told we try to place so many hats and try to be openness as per help. So at that moment, if particularly if me or someone is going to what is a piece of advice you want to tell, because you have to find a job, you have to pay your bills, like everything is there, and like being a student, like coming out of college, and unfortunately if something has happened, like we should have like some hope. So what did you do, like for the benefit of the crowd? If you are telling, that will be great.
Yeah. What I would say and what I always say about any situation in life, as hard as it may be, Solomon, is to keep a positive mindset. Your mindset does a lot for, what you can achieve. Stay positive. It can be very challenging. You're applying on jobs, they're not getting back to you, or they are getting back and you're not successful. That doesn't mean you have to give up. In anything in life, don't give up and keep trying. And, again, keep an open mind. If you're applying on jobs that, are of a specific skill set, maybe try applying as, if you completed a degree in HR or labor relations or business administration, then maybe keep an open mind and as a new grad, start out as administrative support or start out as an administrative assistant. And again, prove yourself. You need to start somewhere, and working hard and really showing that you can achieve so much more than maybe a job title is important. So keep a positive mind. Make sure your resume and your LinkedIn profile are up to date and really show what you have accomplished, whether it's in school or throughout your life. Volunteer, grow your network. Again, go to as many free events as you possibly can. Like anything, Solomon, I would say you need to put the effort in. So whatever that may look like, you need to be able to put the effort in and work hard to get where you need to be.
Like my next question is about like recruitment expertise. Like you are, like I could say that you dealt with recruitment for a long time of HR profession. I could say we have multiple streams, but you are more associated with the recruitment. What is one passion about recruitment, and what is what makes you to work for, and like you have worked for projects like recruitment for the government and consulting. What is the difference of these environments? Could you able to explain that?
So I think, recruitment for me, Solomon, and like I said, I've worn many hats, from administrative to recruitment to comp and benefits and I still do, and just, from an operational standpoint. But the business that we are in is recruitment and HR consulting. So obviously, of course, that is a big part of my job. Even if I may not be physically doing it, I'm still a part of it. But originally, in my first few years of work experience, I was very heavily involved in recruitment. And what I would say, Solomon, is recruitment can be very busy. it can be very challenging and it can be very rewarding. Rewarding in the way that, especially from a firm or an agency, where you're making clients happy, meaning companies, and you're making people happy. We like to say here that we're matchmakers, match people to jobs, and we support companies in finding the right people. And we find the needles in a haystack. And that can be, as I mentioned, very challenging, which is great, because everyone loves a challenge, or most people enjoy a challenge, but it can be so rewarding when you're able to fill that position. And the feedback that we get is inspiring, and it just makes you want to continue to do good things. With respect to the industries that I've worked in, I've been involved in heavy industry, construction, oil and gas, and mostly mining, but also within government as well. I would say the process for recruitment is very much the same or similar. I would say that working in a corporate environment is different than working in private agency or the firm world. And with respect to working in a corporate environment, you are working with managers to fill positions, or you're working, internally, and you may hire externally. Within the agency world, we're working with companies to, match their skill sets. I would say that, companies come to HR project partners and come to us when they can't fill positions themselves. So obviously there's that, I guess, further challenge. They've tried, but we have other methods and other ways to find people, because that's what we do. We have the resources and the time to do that. So I would say that it's probably, another level of a challenge on top of what is already challenging in the recruitment world today. And again, people are very appreciative in this industry. You have clients who you get feedback to say, well, that person's working out so good, I don't know what I did without them. And you have employees who literally say, or candidates that say, we've changed their lives, by allowing them, to get a job opportunity. So those are the couple of key differences. Recruitment is definitely an area you either love or you don't really love. A lot of new graduates and junior people, that when they get out of school, going into recruitment is a good entryway into their career, because it is one of, I guess, those areas where anyone can do it, they say. I wouldn't say anyone can just do it, but I would say that it is a greater opportunity for those that are on the more junior side of their career.
So following on your question, I could say, what is the often the organizations are look for overall comes as effective recruitment? Because I do, if, as you said, the company is not able to fill out the position by themselves, probably if they need people by 1 month or 2 months, they will wait it for 1 month, and they will be coming back to you people and asking, I need so and so people with this so and so. You have a database, but the thing is, you have this stringent timeline, 1 month I have to complete all the steps, and I have to get the employee onboarded to this company. What is how the effective recruitment was? Because as a new graduate, when I might roll out an offer to a person, and he might say that we assume that he is going to join, but he will not be. That again, that's going to be pressure up the situation, because we have the 1 month of time, and we have to keep on rolling on things, because we are building a trust to the client. So how do you handle this kind of situation, I could say?
I mean, in today's landscape of recruitment and sourcing people, as I mentioned, it can be challenging. The world is competitive with respect to candidates. And companies, companies are finding it very challenging to find people, and on the other hand, in some industries, candidates, in some positions, they can make all the calls. So, meaning they can take the job or not, they have another one waiting for them. So how we handle, I guess, those challenges of tight timelines and, making sure that employees are onboarded and they start on time. Obviously there's certain things that are beyond our control. So, for example, notice periods. Some employees or candidates, they have to give 3-4 weeks notice. That's beyond our control. What I would say is, with HR project partners, we have the tools in place and we have the team in place whereby we can action things at, once the quote is signed, we're actioning it right away. So again, we work in a very collaborative environment. So, say for example, you work through the process, you submit candidates and, they have the interview with the client, they get an offer and they decide, no, this is not the opportunity for me. It can be very frustrating, but at the end of the day, candidates have to make the decisions that are best for them and, their life and their personal preferences. With that, like I said, we have a collaborative approach. Then, we talk and discuss as a team. Do we have anyone else? We may already have others in the pipeline. It's about kind of managing your risk, I guess, associated with certain positions, and also having that backup plan or having other candidates that can potentially slide right in when that other person declines. But, a lot of clients understand, Solomon, that, some positions and skill sets are very challenging to fill. And in those cases, it's literally like a needle in a haystack. So, you don't have a lineup of other candidates waiting. So, we do what we can to find candidates efficiently, but also making sure that quality is of utmost importance to us. It's one of our values, and making sure that we're not just submitting candidates for the sake of numbers. We're submitting quality candidates who, at the time of discussion are willing to, take on an opportunity.
Okay, that was a great intake, because as a fresh graduate, we might, gone through this scenario. And we could not say that it is not working out. I could say there's another way of working out. That's a great intake message for the audience. And moving on to the next question. You as an organization, you have tailor-made HR solution. What does it look like a practice? And how you are able to balancing that in the operation leadership and the recruitment responsibility? And what is the current trend you are seeing for the 2026 across the island or across the Canada? Because you have large number of clients or companies are looking for, and employee seekers are there. So what is your approach on that?
Yeah, so I guess, that's a two-part question, I guess you can say. How I balance, my role as, director of operations. Again, still wearing many hats. It adds variety to my day. No one day is not like the other. And that's my role, and that's my expectation of myself, is to be here to support others and to make sure we're supporting our clients. I have challenges every day like anyone else, but you take those challenges, as you can, and do what you can, and again, keep a positive mindset. And for me, Solomon, I go with the flow. I would say I'm somewhat easygoing and understanding that things change. 1 minute, we have a client wanting our support. The next hour, they no longer need our support. So things change in our environment on a rapid basis, and a lot of our clients, their situations change on a very rapid basis. So, being able to adapt to that, which is not for everyone, being able to adapt to an environment that is ever changing, and adapting to that is something that not everyone can do. So you have to keep an open mind on that. With respect to, I guess, the outlook of 2026, it's really hard to know. A lot of times, clients may come to us a little last minute. They decide they need help and they have the budget to get help. So that's what we're there for. With respect to the workforce and the climate, I guess, for 2026, what we're seeing currently, again, it's January, and it's probably our busiest January, in a long time. Usually January is, you're at the tail end, or you're at the front end of a new year, and you're cleaning up or finalizing some things from the previous year, and it's a little bit slower, I would say. But this year we've had multiple requests for people. We've had multiple requests from a HR consulting standpoint. So far it's busy. With respect to people, there's certain skill sets that are still in demand, and we've been seeing that. A lot of our clients are looking for the same types of skill sets. And, depending on the industry that you're in, it is very positive. and then other industries are less positive or less busy. So it's hard to pinpoint, I guess, a certain area or to speak more broadly on the outlook for 2026. But what I would say is that, for us and in our world of recruitment and consulting, it has been busy. So that's positive.
Good to hear that, because every email which you are going to send, like you are going to send an offer letter or you get selected, because which makes someone's life better, or by seeing
Absolutely.
that. Like it's good to see that the recruitment firm is always busy rolling out the letters. It's good to see that it is happening beginning of the year. It's a great news.
Absolutely.
Moving to the questions, like when you talked about the career opportunity, how to build the career opportunities, you mentioned a point like volunteering and like the community impact. So what is about your volunteeringness? I think you started doing some volunteer in the hometown, and how the community involvement influenced your HR approach when things in place.
Yeah, so for me, volunteering, supporting my community, supporting others, it was a big part of my life and an important part of my life. And what I would say is, I remember, when I was in school, very shy, not outgoing. But really putting yourself outside your comfort zone, which I still do today. There's still things that I have to really push myself for. But, volunteering, and that's why being a part of HR Project Partners is important to me, is because we are helping people. So we're helping companies, we're helping individuals, and it's a big aspect of my life, and I get a lot of enjoyment and fulfillment from that. Volunteering has always been important to me. When I was in grade 11, I believe it was, 16 years old, I joined a board as a youth board member in my hometown, and I knew nothing. I knew nothing about boards. I knew nothing about, I knew very little, I would say, about, the actual board and the business itself. And, I spent over 15 years on that board, and I learned a tremendous amount from that experience. And I volunteered in other capacities as well. So through being a board member, through CPHR, being a mentor at one point, and, just helping out in my community. So volunteering is a great way to network. It's a great way to learn new things. It's a great way to help your community. And it's a great way to build on your resume as well. Because as a junior person, whether it's junior in your career or you're still in school, you don't have a whole lot of experience. But when people see that you are willing to take initiative, you're willing to volunteer, you're open to volunteering, you're able to, juggle many things, with school and volunteering and maybe working part-time, that says a lot about someone, especially when you have a junior profile. So I would encourage anybody to volunteer wherever they can, even if it's a one-time event, to do that. And HR Project Partners, as part of our business, it's something that we do every year. We volunteer our time, and, a lot of our employees also volunteer, certain boards and certain committees and whatnot. So I am very passionate about volunteering because I'm very passionate about helping others. And I would encourage people to step outside their comfort zone and to jump in and do it.
And I could see that HR partners is keeping the right person on the position, because as a recruitment firm, as a beyond the business, it makes someone's life when they are troubled, when they need the job, they can bridge with the companies and make it work. And as I mentioned earlier, the email which you're going to send, it's going to be mind blowing for them, which we need so many things beyond that. So it's a great message. So
Yes.
probably I could say, after seeing that someone more has a doubt, if you are an introvert person and shy person, you can able to do it. So which means that you are an inspiration for many people who are watching this. So I could say this is a great take for this session. So yeah, go on.
And Solomon, just before we move on, I just want to add, I'm not just saying I was shy or saying I was introverted. I was. My natural tendency is to be, introverted, and I work very well independently. It's just my personality type. But throughout my career, and the biggest piece of advice I would give a junior person in their career is to really step outside your comfort zone. And it's so easy to say, no, I'm not comfortable doing that, or no, I can't do that, I can't do that. I was asked a few years ago to speak on a panel at a conference, and my first instinct was, I've never done that before. Okay, I don't know. But I quieted that in my mind, I shut that down and said, yep, I can do it. And so me saying yes meant, okay, I'm committed to this, so let's do it. So then it's, preparing yourself. I was very nervous, but I've since sat on a couple of different panels since then, being on camera even here today. I've done a few interviews at certain events, and again, if I look back 10 years ago, I would have never done that. But again, sometimes you have to step outside your comfort zone, and you can do it. You can do it.
What is the one piece of advice you have to tell for emerging HR professional or a business professional?
It's very hard to have one message,
probably.
But I'll do my best. What I would say is my biggest message from all of this, Solomon, is stay positive. And really, whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. And just remember that, because again, it's how you think and how you perceive the world and perceive certain situations, and that will determine whether you can accomplish it or not. So whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. So my biggest piece of advice would be stay positive and network and give yourself more credit than you may already. Have confidence and know that. And again, what I would say is be open-minded to learning new things and to doing new things.
That's a great session, I could say. Thank you for your time. My key intake is keeping yourself positive, keeping yourself openness, and don't stick with one or the two other things. Try to switch with the hats. One or the other day it's going to boost things. And the message for me, I could, most of the viewers going to see, it will be like, if you are able to do a volunteer in the positive way, it's going to be rewarded you as a person in a one or the other time. That could bring the session the value. That is the reason I want to do it for like the session. And thanks for make it be happen. Thank you, Bar. It's honor to have you in my show. And probably you will see like more requests on your LinkedIn. People will asking reach your help. I know you are glad to do that. So it's nice to talking with you. And before close up, I would thank you everyone to watching this show.